Hey there, Sarah here, just popping in for a quick intro. In this episode, Jono and I are joined by a special guest, Ethan from Tag Mods. For those of you who don't know already, Ethan is a PC modder with an incredible array of custom creations in his portfolio, including a Pikachu PC, a TARDIS PC, and even a PC that he modded to make look like Bleak Falls Barrow from Skyrim. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. During this episode, we chat about him turning PC modding from something he did for his friends or as a hobby to a full-blown career, as well as a bunch of other interesting, mainly PC modding related topics. If you're someone who wants to start PC modding yourself as either a hobby or maybe turning it into a career one day, or if you're just someone who finds the whole concept really interesting, then this is the perfect episode for you. This episode is also a little shorter than usual, sadly, due to a few technical difficulties and the fact that when we were recording this, it was incredibly warm in the studio and Jono and I were pretty much melting the entire time. But you know, that just means we'll have to bring Ethan back for another chat again sometime soon. Just a quick reminder too that our Thermal Talk 2020 survey is still open for any of you who want to fill it out and give us some feedback. We really hope to continue improving our content into 2021 and help from you would be really appreciated. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. Until next time. Hello and welcome to Thermal Talk, the official Thermaltech Australia podcast. On today's podcast, we are joined by a special guest. The talented Ethan of Tag Mods joins us today for this episode. Hi, Ethan. Welcome to Thermal Talk. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
All good. Thanks for appearing. We've talked about. I swear. I think we met you was it around this time last year? Was it last year?
Yeah, did you guys meet at PAX?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
But yeah, I think a little bit after that. And yeah, I remember we talked about you coming on and we were like, yes, that'll be great. And then...
A year later.
Yeah. Then a pandemic happened and then we couldn't do it. So yeah, it was devastating. But I'm glad we finally got you. I should say it's Sarah and Jono here, by the way.
Yo.
Because people who can see us know, but if you're just hearing us, you have no idea.
No, but for the people that do see us and our glistening skin is 30 degrees and it's hot.
There's no working air conditioner in here.
Gigantic lights as well, so I'm regretting that, but all good.
It's fine. You got to do it. Got to do it for the content. Got to do it for the... That's it. All right, cool. Well, I guess we'll jump into one of the first things we like talking about on the podcast, which is we always like to ask our guests who are on for the first time what got them into PCs, and I guess by association for you, Ethan, specifically modding PCs. Well, yeah, what was the thing that kind of first drove you into this world?
Well, I've always kind of been into PCs. Like, I'm just kind of just a nerdy kid, I guess. And then modding didn't really happen until like 2014-ish at uni. I had like this massive Corsair case that didn't fit under my desk, so I had to look at it every day. And I just kind of got sick of that, and I turned it into a Batman PC, put it on the internet, and it got like reposted by like PC Case Gear and a bunch of other people. I'm pretty sure Corsair reposted as well, and then a mate asked me to do him a Joker PC, and it snowballed from there.
Wow.
That's really cool.
And like 4.5 years later, I'd do it full time. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've never asked you the question of what your first mod was, and I didn't really know.
It was a pretty crappy Batman case mod in a Corsair 1330R, I think it is, or 330R or something.
I'm not sure. I'm gonna suss your. Maybe we'll grab one of your images and chuck it.
It's on my website. It's all on there if you want to use any of it.
Oh, done. Sounds
Awesome.
good. I'll throw that up there. That's cool. So, like, why Batman though?
I just like Batman.
Fair enough.
There's the 1989 Batmobile in Lego right there.
Oh,
Oh,
fantastic.
heck yeah.
Oh, wicked. So, did that sort of spiral? Because I mean, you based it around a theme, and that's something we'll probably talk about a little bit later. But a lot of your stuff is heavily like there's always a theme behind it. Like,
True.
There's some modders like to go for more the hardware spectacle side of things, and you like to jump into, I guess, a theme, because a lot of the times, like, you can totally tell I think one of the first mods I saw of yours was actually Doctor Who.
Yeah, the little TARDIS. Yep. TARDIS. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So I remember that, and like basically all of your, from as far as I can remember, a lot of yours are just basically like whatever the theme is, you can totally identify it in the case because it basically becomes whatever it is that you're kind of
designing.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I focus on.
Yeah, so like how come you go that way rather than making the hardware inside look pretty and things like that?
Yeah, I'm definitely more about the build itself rather than the specs. I find the longer I do it, the more I become about the build, and the less I kind of care about the specs.
So like, did you do a lot of woodworking in class, or is this all like?
Yeah, like who just looks at a case and goes, I'm gonna change that. Like I've never done that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm just like, I have no skills. I have no idea how to even I love how you just looked at it and went, I'm just gonna change it.
Neither did I to begin with, really. Like, I kind of look back at my older builds and cringe because they're just poorly done. Like, I had limited tools and limited knowledge with those tools, so I feel like the builds really reflect that. And as I kind of go along, you can see my progression with tools and when I get new tools and all that kind of stuff. But I'm fully self-taught with that kind of stuff. I never did art really at school or, like beyond like year 9 where it was compulsory. I didn't really do anything artistic or anything like that. And then I just kind of, I've always liked tinkering with stuff though, and especially electronics and just like playing around and with like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of led into what I do now. Yeah.
Yeah. Sick. Well, like,
Okay.
I mean, do we want to jump into straight?
We've kind of just sort of jumped in. Yeah, we may as well. Just keep pressing through with the questions.
So like, with that, can you remember the first ever time you got paid to do a modding project?
Yes, that was Cooler Master commissioned me to do a build for a little tech show they did in Melbourne. I can't remember what it was called. But it was for the launch of first gen AMD.
Wow, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wowzers.
And I did a Witcher 3 build and a Borderlands 2 build in the Thermaltake Core P3 and the Cooler Master 5T. So AMD paid me for one, and then Cooler Master paid for the other one.
Ah, cool.
But that was
So that's-
2015? 2016? When first gen Ryzen came out?
Yeah, I kind of actually remember if it was 2016.
Well, 5th gen just came out, so I'm pretty sure it's 2015.
That would make sense. That's yep. That's solid logic.
Oh, how dare you use logic?
So they were my first 2 builds, yeah. Well, first 2 paid builds. I think I was about 8 or 9 builds at that point. So I'd done like the Pikachu build and TARDIS and Fallout builds.
Yeah, wicked. So like, with that one, was there kind of any? I mean, being at your first paid gig, was it kind of stressful, or was it you just tackled it like every other project thus far?
Yeah, pretty much, because all the other projects had either been done like for a friend, and I wasn't really like paid for my work, but I guess they were like, they kind of just bought their hardware and just gave me their PC, and I like, pimped it out, and they paid me for materials and stuff, but I never actually like made money, because it was just very much a hobby at that point. And then, yeah, AMD reached out for their launch event, and I was like, oh, this is actually like something legit that I could do, and it snowballed from there.
Sweet. So when did you go from doing it for mates and then doing a paid gig here and there to turning it into more than that? Because is this a side business of yours, or is this?
It's full time now. I've been full time since April last year, I think. I quit my job because I was a QA analyst for a company, so I ditched that, and now I'm full time doing this. But I kind of made that decision to see if there was any like traction as a business. I paid for my own PAX booth in 2016. So it must have been 2016 to launch your first gen then too. And that's when I first met, I'm pretty sure that's when I first met you as well, actually, Jono, at that PAX with Jeremy. And I had like the Fallout build, Pikachu build, the Crisis build, all in like my little 3x3 meter booth. and just kind of went around and talked to everybody about what I was doing, and that led to everything else, really.
Yeah, cool. I do remember that. That was where I first met you or talked to you and heard about what you did, and I think that's where I saw the Doctor Who, the TARDIS sort of the mod. But yeah, you had it was really interesting because PAX is an event where you'd see really big companies, and then you had yourself right next to us in your own booth doing mods. And you don't really see that. I don't think I've actually seen that since. But yeah, that was really cool. So it was, that's a big kind of risk as well, because it's quite expensive to attend PAX.
A lot of work too.
But do you think that paid off in terms of exposure to people? Do you think you'd approach it differently?
Exposure to people has never really been my focus. I've always worked company to company. Like I've always worked like direct with you guys or Intel or whoever like that. My goal has never been to build PCs to sell to the general public, mostly because of the legality with IP and all that kind of stuff. It's so much easier to just with like Bethesda or Square Enix or something like that to use their IP to make something for them to promote.
Yeah.
So it's very much the angle I approach. And I've been at PAX every year since that, but I've always been on everybody else's booths because everyone else has been showing off my stuff rather than me having to fork out. So, it's definitely paid for itself. It also, I guess, showed that I was determined to do like cooler and crazier builds, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
Absolutely. So in terms of, you kind of mentioned this a little bit before. So when you were first looking at modding that first case of yours, was it something that you kind of sat down and went, okay, I want to do this, time to, jump onto YouTube, time to do some research, time to figure out what I want? Or was it honestly just a case of, I wonder if I can just paint this black and stick some eyes on it? Was it a case of you sat down and really looked into it and did a lot of research, or did you just trial and error it, jump in and just see what you could make kind of thing?
Very much all about trial and error. 90% of my builds, I just go, I do up the design and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And then just kind of wing it from A to B. I'd just gotten into 3D printing at the time, so most of the aspects of that build are 3D printed, and then the rest of it's just paint.
Wowzers. I just feel like, I don't know, for me, I've made cosplay costumes and stuff before, and I'm such a big planner. I'm someone who will look at the different fabrics, and I'll sit down and really plan everything out and do so much research. For me, it just seems so you're so brave to just jump in and just see what happens. Because if it was me, I would just make it look awful, and then I'd feel discouraged and I'd never do it again.
There was definitely a lot more failure earlier on, just because I didn't really know what I could do with certain materials and all that kind of stuff. Whereas now I think I've just clocked over 200 builds. So with that, I just kind of know what I can and can't do with most materials, and can kind of just gauge off the top of my head exactly how I'm going to build things. That just comes with doing it 200 times, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, I mean, with you were saying that there's some failures early on and stuff. Can you remember starting a project where you had a vision in mind and goal that you didn't really reach, or it was really hard to get there?
The Fallout build was the first build that I remember cracking it on. So it was that little lunchbox build with the blown out side. It just looked crap because I didn't know how to weather things. I actually threw it in the fire because I'm like, this case is done. Throw it in the bonfire and get rid of it. And I must have just hit the right part of the fire to melt without catching fire. And then once the fire was out, I actually ended up using the case because it looked awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, complete fluke. But that's probably the closest I've gotten. For the most part, I'm pretty stubborn, so I don't just give up on things.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I just I kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So the other thing is, considering you said you've done over 200 now, just clocked, which is quite impressive.
It's very impressive.
That's a lot of hours
Yeah.
behind all sorts of
I gotta
tools.
figure out how many hours.
Yeah. So like, where do you get the inspiration from to keep creating things? Because I mean, I know, you know, if you work with other companies like AMD or Bethesda or whatnot, you know, they'll have like a new game coming out, and then you're just going to promote that game somehow through it.
Yeah.
Does that get repetitive? Do you find ways beyond just like that to get inspiration from?
Like the benefit, I guess, of doing mods for the company is that you're only ever doing it once. Like it's not like I'm building 50 versions of the same build. So you still have that problem solving from figuring out what we're going to build to how I'm going to build it. So that's always different for each build, and like I kind of learn from all the previous builds to how I'm going to do the next one. So I don't really feel like I've ever been super bored. Some builds are harder than others because the company or the game just doesn't interest me personally. So with things like the Bleak Falls Barrow build that I did earlier this year, I basically like rebuilt Bleak Falls and then put a PC in it, just for, like everyone loves Skyrim, and I played Skyrim for hundreds of hours when it first came out. So that was a build that I found like super easy to do. And then I'm trying to think of an example of a build that I'm not like the Dragon Lore build from CSGO. So like I'm not a massive CSGO fan, I just didn't know much about it. So all those like the smaller details you put in to appeal to the fans of the series and that are just a lot harder to come by because I either have to do a lot more research, play the game myself, or talk to people that I know play it all the time. So it just comes with a lot more legwork. Whereas with a build, if I love the game, off the top of my head, I'm like, yeah, cool, we'll get this in, we'll put that in, and then it just kind of works itself out. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool.
Definitely. It feels a bit like a jigsaw, like you just get given like, okay, it's this thing, and then you have to kind of just put all these bits together to like make it that game or that IP or whatever you're working with, which sounds like really fun.
And you get better at it. There's some builds I look at and parts of the build just look slapped on and don't like mesh with any of the hardware. It's like design continuity and things like that are things I feel like I've gotten exponentially better at as time goes on.
Have you ever like been given a game or something and just sat there and been like, I have no idea what to do, like no idea where to go from here, and you're like, oh my god, am I going to be able to do this?
So there's kind of two ways for a build to happen. Either a company will come to me, a games company will generally be like, cool, we've got this game coming out, do whatever you want, which that's the easier of the two because then I can come up with a concept and choose a case that works with that concept.
Yeah.
Whereas if, say, you guys come to me and you're like, we've got this brand new case coming out and we want you to do a build based on Batman with it, that's a lot harder because you have to make aspects of that character work with the case. It's like some cases like rounded over and angled and you have all the different properties that they're definitely the hardest to kind of come up with designs for.
Cool. So you go with a theme first, or you know what you kind of want to base around or have a build around, and then you'll go and hunt out the hardware or the case that kind of suits.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you're given a case first, if I'm given a case with an open theme, I have like a book full of like concept ideas that I can refer to. But when you're given both the theme and the case, and they don't quite mesh, so it's like, so say like if you said Batman with like the A300 or something.
We've lost you.
Oh, no. Sorry, everybody. We just had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we're back now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can remember where you're up to when we cut off Ethan. So
yeah, so like with like the chassis, like the A600 something like it's like super sleek and streamlined. If you would give me like a post-apocalyptic theme, it'd be a lot harder to apply to that case. Whereas like the AH because it's all jagged and that's easy to turn into like armor panels and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's some
cool.
some that just mesh together really easily, and other things you just have to be more creative with the integration.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some siren going off out. That's a very creative
I
siren.
got some.
I'm not sure if you can pick it up on the podcast, but there's a siren going past, and it's very festive
It's odd.
almost.
Yeah, I think it might be those Santa fire trucks that go
Yeah,
around.
yeah, celebratory
Sounds like
Santa
it.
fire truck.
Yeah, it is nearly Christmas.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's creeping up.
That's it. Yeah, so it definitely sounds like almost the more freedom you have, the easier a build is to put together, I suppose, for you.
You also have too much freedom.
Yeah, right. We need a little bit, only a bit of freedom,
Yeah,
but
some
not too much
directions
freedom.
always better than none.
Yeah.
Which is, you kind of get both ends of the spectrum. Like a company would be like, do a build based on Skyrim, and like Skyrim's a massive game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to find like one thing to build on, can be quite annoying, overwhelming, because you don't want to get too niche, and you don't want to be like too general to the point where it's boring. So you got to find that like happy medium.
Nice
Yeah.
little middle ground.
Yeah.
Definitely. What was that? I don't remember what I was up to. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, you said earlier on that this is now your full-time gig. I'm curious, like, what were the sort of steps you had to go to turn this into a full-time career? I do think that jump from having a full-time comfortable job where you know you're going to get paid a certain amount and, you know, all that, and then going into, all right, I'm doing this thing now. Like, I'm guessing was that a big decision for you, and like, what were the kind of steps you went about?
It was a hard
making
decision
that
to make, yeah. I was on reasonable money where I was working and like pretty stable. I also found that I didn't really have much of a social life because I was going to like my 9-to-5 job, coming home and doing tag. So it's definitely a risk again, but I also like reached out to brands and was like, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and like tried to build something a little bit more stable. So I've worked a lot more directly with like Intel and that kind of stuff this year, especially during COVID. Like it was important to like make sure that work would be coming in, especially with no events, because most of my builds kind of line up with events. Like before PAX, I always do heaps of builds because everyone's going to see them. So like companies are a lot more willing to fund builds and all that kind of stuff. But no, it was definitely like one of the most terrifying things I've ever done. But it's worked out well so far. So hopefully that continues.
Definitely.
Sick. Well, I think not too long ago you told me you moved into like a bigger place or like a warehouse.
Yeah, I've got a warehouse in a minute, so I've gone from like a 6 by 4 meter shed to like a 40 by 20 meter warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So to get like
So-
bigger and better tools and all that kind of stuff. And I'm in the process of moving and like building out the warehouse properly with like mezzanines and all that kind of stuff. So I should be in there hopefully before the end of the year.
Excellent.
I'm kind of like
Wicked.
half and half at the minute.
Yeah. Nice. No, that's cool, man. That's really cool. Well, this one I guess is a bit of a reflection, but with all the knowledge and experience that you've gained now, and obviously, you know, you never really kind of go back and want to change everything because then it doesn't lead to where it is at this stage. But would there be any advice that you'd give to yourself, you know, maybe 3 year back Ethan or 2 years back Ethan or anything like that?
Absolutely. Especially from the business side, like the technical skills I've kind of just developed and there's no way to change that. But the business perspective, I've learned a lot of hard lessons the hard way. Well, that includes like that big activation we tried to do this time last year with you guys. So there's been a lot of things that have backfired in like a massive way that I didn't have control of. But if I'd been smart in a business sense initially with like contracts and all that kind of stuff, those big clusters could have been avoided.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes those ones they can catch you off guard. So.
Oh yeah, like there's things I never saw coming, but in hindsight, I was like, yeah, I could have avoided that if I'd known these key pieces of information. So, they're definitely the points that I'd like reflect on the most because they're the things that can end your career kind of overnight.
I didn't catch that. Sorry, man, it glitched out.
Those big issues are the little things that can end your career. So. yeah, luckily I've been on good enough terms with the companies that when things went wrong, they're out of my control, that they haven't like massively affected my relationship with the companies, but it definitely could have. So I just kind of got lucky in that perspective.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think with that one that did happen, I think you did a pretty good job when stuff did go a little astray. Throwing in the reins and pulling it back in. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Really good activation, and we raised like 50,000 for the bushfires. It was all good in the end.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
So,
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very odd because I guess. Yeah, you go into creating PCs and modding PCs, but then obviously there's that kind of, for some people it would be the boring business side of things, but I guess that's at one point you're going to have to deal with it. So, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Not too boring. I find dealing with people can be, especially over COVID, it's been like a saving grace of dealing with all the companies directly and just kind of keeping in touch with everybody. The boring part for me is the social media side. I hate it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess, I think like I touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of that you have a very unique style to your builds. And I guess that's what helps modders stand out from each other. But what would you say to the people who are listening who may not know what exactly it is that you do, like what your overall style of modding is versus other people, and like basically kind of explain what you like to do to your builds that's a little bit different to
Makes you stand out.
How others do it.
Okay. You've kind of got. I feel like I'm on the extreme end of modding when it comes to like what I do to cases and that for the most part. So you've got modders that do super clean, like really nice water cooled builds, kind of like Alex from Simple Mods. Like he does like super high quality, super clean builds fairly consistently. And then you've got Corey from Designs IFR. He's kind of an all rounder. He does the occasional crazy build, the occasional super clean build, and kind of like drifts between those two. Whereas a clean build for me is very much an exception. For the most part, I basically combine art and technology. Well, we all do in our own way. But I definitely like run with themes and all that kind of stuff, which helps with the company integration that I was talking about before, of working directly alongside game companies and all that kind of stuff to be able to produce things that represent their IPs directly, is obviously a massive sales point from their perspective. I've done the occasional clean build, but most of the time they haven't been sponsored and it's out of boredom. I've just got like a week gap to fill, so I'll just do like a super clean build just to kind of pass the time and work on that element, because the reason I got into the theme builds in general is because I sucked at clean builds. Like I just wasn't good at making things clean, and I've always been not careless but kind of haphazard with tools. So if I scratch something, I was like, oh yeah, it's battle damage, it's fine. And obviously when doing a clean build, you have to have the mindset of like keeping things pristine and like taping things off before you cut them and all those kind of things. So it's definitely a different mindset, a different approach to the builds in general.
Cool. That's wicked, man.
Yeah, I think one of my one of my favorite things about looking at your builds is I'll tend to like, I'll be like, what case is that? Because like sometimes you look at them and like, you can't even tell, like it's all just taken over by like, and it just definitely becomes like an art piece in a way. Like it just completely, I don't know, you're like that. There's a PC in there somewhere. I'm not sure where it is, but it's in there.
Yeah,
I've
done some crazy
I love
things.
that. Yeah, I think it's great. Like I always enjoy. That's my favorite part about looking at your creations.
Creations.
Your creations.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I guess we will jump into the couple questions that we got from the community. We popped a call out for people on Instagram and Discord if they had anything they wanted to ask you. And, some of these I might need you to explain to me. So first from I Am McLovin wants to know, how is he so good looking? That's what they would like to know. So, the people want to know.
Yeah, what's your skincare routine, dude?
Yeah, like, what's the strat?
See, I know McLovin. We're good buddies. He lives in Geelong. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
We've got Murky, who's a regular with our Discord, in our community Discord, which
Yep.
feel free to, if you're listening and you haven't
Yes.
joined the community Discord,
Please do.
get your butt in there, because
That's
there's
right.
also all sorts of cool things that happen in there in
Mhm.
terms of competitions or sometimes some community topics, things like that.
Yep.
But
Definitely.
Murky asks, other than painting, what are some DIY PC case and controller mod ideas for a beginner to try?
I guess it kind of comes down to what avenue you want to take. So if you want to take like a clean element, you can work on, because like painting's such a broad topic, and you can get like really specific and really detailed with painting. Especially like crisp panel lines and all that kind of stuff. A lot harder to paint on than they look. So you can work on like building templates to make those easier. I have machines that cut the vinyl for me now, and I just like make a vector. But to begin with, I would like hand cut all those templates. And if you want to take it into like more of a crazy direction, just start hitting things with hammers and angle grinders. It's kind of how I started weathering, and like working on like rust techniques and all that kind of stuff. I guess it's a matter of finding out what you like and pushing the limits as much as you can within your current skill set, because that's kind of that's the best way I learned anyway. Obviously, everyone learns differently, but that's kind of how I've continued to do different things. Is I constantly be like, oh, well, what happens if I cut this case in half? And then you cut it in half, and you're like, this was a huge mistake. But then you learn like ways to adapt and make it work, and then the next time I'm like, oh, I'll cut it in half, but like most of the way, and you lean it, and yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds of different ways and avenues you can take with each and every build. So it's very much a case of learning from mistakes.
Cool. Is there like, is there any substitute materials that are kind of like a case that you can just grab from like Bunnings to practice on, or do you just grab a case and go to town on it, and if it doesn't work out, then BL, you know? Yeah.
Acrylic is your best friend. I'm pretty sure any modder will tell you that, regardless whether you do clean builds or crazy stuff. You can use it for GPU back panels. You can use it for power supply shrouds. You can use it for like broken shards coming out of stuff. You can replace tempered glass with it, because you can. Tempered glass is tinted, obviously, so acrylic's clear, so you can paint it and etch it and do all that kind of stuff to it. That's kind of like, I guess, the material that once I discovered it, I was like, oh, I can do so much with this, because you can heat it and bend it, you can crack it, you can do pretty much anything with acrylic. And then tool-wise, my Dremel was like the first tool that I got that like really revolutionized things, because you can do like fine cuts, you can weather with it, you can carve with it. There's not much you can't do with the Dremel, really. So they're kind of like two super versatile materials and tools that are just, I use them in nearly every build.
Yeah, wicked. That's cool. I mean, that's like gives me a follow-up question, actually. What are the top 3 tools that you end up using?
I was gonna
You
say.
know? So Dremel's one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Dremel, it also depends on like clean and dirty. So if you're doing a dirty kind of rustic build, Dremel, angle grinder, and paints. If you're going for a cleaner build, then you're going to lean towards more like vinyl, acrylic. So if you want like clean acrylic cuts, you've got like special tools that you can use to like burr it and snap it. And I guess paint kind of falls into kind of both categories as well. Yeah, but I love using my angle grinder. Basically, any opportunity I get to crack it out, I go for it.
You're like, oh no, I have to use the angle grinder again. Oh well.
Pretty much,
Yeah, sick. Cool.
Cool. All right. And a final question from maybe another person you know, Wild Scrivo, who asks, why does he only drink Jack and Coke? Like, does he know other alcoholic drinks exist?
Yeah, well,
Do
like,
you know that other alcoholic
I
drinks
do.
exist?
One of the things I got into over quarantine is I built my own bar. So I've taken much
Wow.
advantage of that. I got into woodwork. I actually built like the dresser and all that there as well.
That is a
It's
cool
like keeping
dresser.
me
I
sane
was admiring the
during
dresser.
But I know other drinks exist, but like you find something good, so you stick with it.
Fair enough. Ain't broke, don't fix it.
Pretty
Like
much, yeah.
Good point.
that's fair. That's very fair.
But if offered other things, I will drink them.
No, well, I mean,
no one ever made fun of James Bond for his martini. Like, you gotta have a signature thing, So, not a bad one to have, I think.
are you sponsored? Or...
Not yet.
You could make a build for them.
Not yet, but it's
You could do like a Jack Daniels bottle.
More non-endemic companies are getting into builds every day, so
yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome.
I think the most
There you
random
go.
company I've done a build for recently is L'Oreal.
L'Oreal.
Like
Yeah.
skin care?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I'm
Yep.
like, what would you ask for? Like a bottle?
Yeah, their bottle features. Yeah,
That's amazing.
so that's
Very interesting.
that's
yeah.
a super clean build with a lot of like automotive paints, and I did a pearlescent paint job on it. So it's like
yeah.
a 6-layer paint job. It was a massive pain in the ass to do, but it looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, there you
Sweet.
go. That's so interesting. I
That's
did
cool,
not
man.
pick that. I would never have picked that.
It's definitely like the most random build of 2020 so far, I think.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, obviously you just straight up think about the, IT brands anyway, like case manufacturers
Yeah.
or AMD, Intel, Nvidia, things like that. So
That's the glory of
Yeah.
esports. They pull in more and more non-endemics, kind of like all the time. So like
Yeah,
Red Bull's
yeah,
been
yeah,
prevalent in it for a while, and I've done builds for Red Bull as well.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
see more
true.
and more of those companies coming in, like Optus and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. All right, cool. Well, I reckon that's about it.
That's
Do
about
they
it.
have anything else? We're all good. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
That's all right. It's been a pleasure.
If we will put all of your links in all the links, what where links are. But if people wanted to see more of your work and check you out, where's the best place to go and do that?
Best place is probably Instagram. I feel like I post there the most. But it's at TagMods on all socials anyway. Nice and easy.
No,
Excellent.
Easy.
Easy done. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching and listening to this at home. And is there anything else I need to say, Jono?
No, I think that's about it.
That's about it?
It's a pretty quick one today, but it was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, man. I do
good.
appreciate it, especially through the long period of technical difficulties at the beginning there. But yeah, it's always good to see you too, dude. You
same.
are quite local to us, so it's good to catch up. Good
The
to
border's
see you.
open again, so we should catch up for a drink at some point.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
right.
Thank you.
We can do that now.
Yeah, I know, right? We can leave the house.
Oh, it's amazing.
Socialize.
It's been a long lockdown. It's been a very long.
It has.
It's been brutal, man. It's been brutal. But yeah, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you soon. No
Yeah.
worries. I think basically that's about it. If you're
About it?
watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, then make sure you hit that button.
Do it.
Like the video, helps a lot. Go check the description box below. There's going to be links
Lots
to
of
where you can
links.
find Ethan and all his awesome work. And other than that, I think we'll catch you in the next one.
That's it. See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Says.
Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end. We do hope you enjoyed this episode of Thermal Talk. If you want to join in the discussion or maybe even submit a topic for us to talk about in future, make sure to jump over to our Discord. We also do weekly giveaways there as well. Remember also that these video podcasts are available audio a week earlier. So jump over to our Spotify, SoundCloud, or Apple Podcasts to listen earlier. And we'll catch you on the next one.